Hey, welcome back, guys. So today I want to talk about some tips to organize your Google Drive because there's days where the Google Drive kind of reminds me of that poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow called "There Was a Little Girl with a Curl." And if I were to take that little girl with the curl and replace that little girl with the curl with Google Drive, there are days when my Google Drive is really, really good when it's working for how I want it to work, and there are days that it is really frustrating. So hopefully there's some tips in here that can help you organize your Google Drive. And the first one I want to show you is using colors to color code your folders. So for instance, I use red a lot because those are folders that I use often, so the red instantly draws my attention to them. So I'm kind of doing color association with a folder. So if I have this folder, for instance, digital badges, I can change the color by right-clicking on it, going up to select, change color, and Google offers you 24 different presets for colors. And I know this one is done through Google, so I'm going to use green. I associate Google with green. Okay, so that's just the first way that I can help organize this chaotic mess that has become my Google Drive. The second way is I can name my folders with emojis. So again, I'm going to do that association with the folder, the text, and now I'm going to add an image. I also have the color. Notice the location of digital badges. It's down here, okay? So when I rename digital badges, I click rename. I'm going to put my cursor in the beginning of the rename. I'm going to give it a space, and then I'm going to back up the cursor one spot, and I'm going to access my emoji keyboard. And this is available on a Chromebook, on a Windows PC, as well as a Mac. If you're on a Chromebook, you just have to enable it in your accessibility features. So digital badges, I think of something like a medal or a badge. So let me go down here to my emojis for activities, and here's a badge. Okay, and I give it one space afterwards because I want it to keep it all nice and clean. But I know it's in the grayed out section down here just underneath where it says digital badges. I want you to watch what happens after I click OK. I click OK, and it shifted the folder up to the top because it's going to rename your folder based on the emoji. All right. So that's the second way that I kind of keep my Google Drive organized, so it's more personalized and user-friendly. And then the third thing that I do is this shared with me file, or this portion of my Google Drive. This is just a chaotic mess. I gave up and I cried uncle on this part of my Google Drive a long time ago. Reason being, every Google application that I'm connected to with my Watertown CSD account, any file that is turned in for any Google Classroom that I'm associated with is going to show up here. And if I delete it, I'm going to delete it on the original owner. Been there, done that. That humble pie was not a piece that I went back for seconds. So how I get around this is if there is something that shows up here in this shared with me file, and for instance, this was shared with me with Jen Akins, if I want to have access to this in the future, I simply right-click on this file called Blackboard Slides, and I can click Add to Starred. So what that does is it tells Google Drive that this file is important to me, and I can access any file that I have starred by clicking over here on the left-hand side where it says Starred. So I click on Starred, and you'll notice that that Blackboard Slides template is now located underneath my files. All right, you may have also noticed that up top here, remember all those red folders that I said were important that I use often? I star them. Okay, so you can right click on these and add or removed from starred right from here as well. So that works for folders as well. Now, the kind of 3B to this to get away from the shared with me portion is I use priority. Priority is the top selection over here under Google Drive. And when I click on a priority, I have the ability to create workspaces. So I can create a new workspace, and a workspace is just a collection of links to files that you are going to commonly use or want access to. You can view up to 8 workspaces at a time, and I believe each workspace can hold up to 25 links to files. So I could just create this 60 with Saint Part 2. I click Create, and you'll notice that I now have a blank workspace. So if the first time that you create it, this is going to pop up, and I can click Add to Files right from here, and it's going to give me suggestions of what they think that I'm looking for. So if I wanted to put, here's a Google Doc where I do a lot of my writing for my newsletter, I click on that and I click Insert, and you will see that it's going to go right here to 60 with Saint Part 2. Okay, so I can click Done, but the other option that I like doing this for is if I go to my recent file or shared with me, I can find a file that I use often. This is a Google form that is coming out in this week's newsletter. If I right click on the file right from here, so this could also be in the shared with me portion, doesn't matter where it is, if you right click on the file, I have the ability to add it to the workspace right from the main Google Drive page. So I can add this to my 60 with Saint files. Remember, the file name was Crack the Code. I come over here to my priority tab, 60 with Saint files, you'll notice Crack the Code. So that put that file right in that workspace for you. Okay, so these are just some of the tips that I've kind of learned along the way to help personalize and make my Google Drive more user-friendly, and hopefully it will for you as well.